Over a little Prosthetic on an orange stipple sponge or a red stipple sponge. Also, what this will do is, the biggest thing about a ball cap is when you get one of these is that there's no texture in the cap. And when we first went from from regular TV to high definition, the biggest thing that we noticed was when we do a ball cap that you'd go from texture on the forehead to perfectly smooth on the top of the head. And we realized we had to come up with something, so just stippling on a little bit of Prosthetic that gives a little light texture to the cap. Really, and just tapering it off. It doesn't have to be the whole cap, but it really helps when you're trying to paint it and just catching shadows, just slight little shadows here and there. All right, Texas. Hey, you thought I didn't bring them, did you? Next thing we do is everything when we do a cap, normally 80% of this cap would be pre-painted before we get on set on Saturday night. This way, when the actor comes in, that saves us an extra 30 seconds, 40 seconds of having to paint that part. But everything is also done in washes. We'll do PAX washes, which is Prosthetic and acrylic paint mix. We'll do wash of 3 different colors first, depending on whose skin tone it is. 3 or 4 colors of PAX washes. Then on top of that, we go over with grease paint stippled on really quick with an orange sponge. And then after that, I'll airbrush on top of that to blend all of that down. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's a lot of layers, because when you on high definition TV with the lights, those hot lights, you see everything, and layering the makeups on really does help. And you'll see, like, this is not a solid color at all. We mix it, we just spray with a little water, so it's not solid, so it's just a wash.
What's that color?
Excuse me? It's just something we mix up. Like, all the colors are made to match RCMA color palettes. Like this color is, this one I think we kind of just came up with, this red. The next color we match to the RCMA Shinto, then another color is matched to the RCMA Ivory. So that's kind of the color palette that we've gone with. I make we put together, this is the color palette of grease paints that I like to use, and they're all RCMA colors, but they're the colors that I found that work the best for me on SNL. And we just put them in these little palettes, and this way when we got to do a cap, throw it in your back pocket, you open it up, and inside you got your stipple sponges and your colors, and you're good to go. So that's one color. Then we'll go on with next is this one's like a Shinto 1, Shinto 4? Shinto 1, yeah. This one matches the Shinto 1 on the RCMA palettes. And again, they're just washes of color. One of the things you'll notice is the sponges. What we do is we'll rip off the sponge and pick away at the sponge so it creates this uneven surface on the sponge. Because if you stipple with this straight line, every time you do it, you're going to get just these weird hard angles in the paint. But if you rip that apart like that, it gives you this nice uneven pattern, so it looks more natural. Greg Canham showed me that years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. next color we're going to go into is like an ivory. And I'll start and just keep moving around. And you see how that's already starting to blend off pretty nicely with just the wax washes. Yeah, I think so. We should powder them first. Normally at this point we would start to grease paint, light coats of stippled on grease paint on top of this, but since we're going to put these horns on, I figured let's glue the horns on now so that grease paint doesn't hinder the application process. So these are just some silicone body mod horns that we made in the shop. They're really soft. They're encapsulated. The ball cap is made out of vinyl. It's made out of cat material. This is made out of regular cat material that dissolves with acetone. If we would have made these with the same kind of cat material, as soon as we would go to blend this edge off, it would rip your cap apart. So we made this with Super Baldies, so that this Super Baldies dissolves with alcohol. So this way we can layer this on top of this and hit it with the solvent to dissolve it and not mess up the ball cap, which will not be good. Yeah, so we're going to glue this down with is it thinner? Okay. I got alcohol in my hand now. I don't want to touch that. You got the tensors? And I'm just putting a little dot of Telsus on here to tack it down so we get it in the right. Too low? I think we're going to be honest here. And these are just silicone gel 25 flat molded pieces. There was so much going on last week on the show that there was no time to make. We had to cut, you got to try and do as much as you can in the 2 days that we have to build everything. For last night's show, we had two shape of water creatures that we built that ended up getting cut from the show, so we built full shape of water suits, headpieces, hands, We shot a pre-tape of it Thursday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, so we were working around the clock to try and get everything done, and then the sketch got cut. They will hopefully, because it was a pre-tape, they'll put it online, but still, it's already online? Okay, so it's actually online, but it just kind of sucks when you go through all that work and effort and then they cut it. Originally, we had done that sketch, we had done a version of that sketch with Sam Rockwell, and we had to build, for the one last night, we didn't have to do the suits, but for the one that we did with Sam Rockwell, we built full suits from the waist up, 2 shape of water suits, and then it got cut. So, what's that? Okay, I forgot you. Now we go into the grease paints. And again, I use a nice orange sponge, and all, like I said, all these are matched to the RCMA, their RCMA colors. So we'll go in and scrape it across this top, and just it's kind of like the old Bob Ross trick. You scrape it across, tap it, you get a little bit of color on the tip, and everything's painted with dots and pointers. Instead of like shearing it in and having a straight on, heavy amount of grease, it's just light bits of dots. That's one of the reasons why I like these palettes, because this gives you this little surface to spread it on. And on a Saturday night, we'll have 4 people beating up a cast member's head like this, and just the heads are bobbing all over the place. And there's a lot of I'm sorry because we're just beating them up, but they're really cool. Yeah, let me wipe that off first.
How much time would you budget for this on the show?
10 minutes. So I'm already over budget. Yeah, no, we average, like last night we had to get Kate to come in earlier to do her bald cap, and we'll do her in like 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, get her out of the chair. Normally we won't get more than 15 minutes to do a bald cap. Most of the makeups that we do on SNL, if we get 15 to 20 minutes, it's a good day. Yeah, and a lot of times when I'm designing a makeup for the show, I got to take into consideration the amount of time that we have to glue it on. So I can't do anything that's so elaborate and ornate that I know it's going to take me 45 minutes or half an hour to glue down. And then not even, like, for example, last night we had Robert De Niro came on and I turned him into Robert Mueller. Doing that makeup, I didn't know if they were going to add him in another sketch, if they're going to put him somewhere else, and frankly, it's Robert De Niro. He's not going to want to sit in the chair for 45 minutes. So we kind of made the makeup in a way that it can go on really quick. Jason and I applied that, and I think what we told was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you know? Like 15, 20 minutes. It was a jaw, a cheek, and a chin appliance, and then blend it all off, and a set of eyebrows that we had built. That's a base coat of the grease on top of that. And then I'll blend a little of that grease onto the cheek because I don't feel like doing makeup on Brandon's whole face. Alright. Next thing I'm going to do, Prosthetics. I'm going to airbrush. There's a lot of airbrushes out there. I'm a Pache fan. Pache single action. I can spray a cap with this in like 30 seconds. I got a little trick that I do, which I put I like to, and everything I paint with speckles of color. I'll try and show you on a piece of paper. When you use an airbrush, usually it's really fine speckles. I tune it down so I can get, again, I like to paint everything with pointism. So, let me see if I can get it. Piece of tissue. So if you, I don't know if you guys can see that, but everything is little dots and speckles, and it just breaks up a cap and looks a lot nicer when you're painting with those little dots as opposed to spraying like a can of spray paint where it's one solid stream. And then if you do it like this, it comes out, but it comes out real slow. I kind of create a vacuum by putting my thumb over the top, and I could do a lot more comes out of the brush at the same size. And when you're trying to paint 4 caps at the same, one after the other, the quicker you can spray, the better. And these are all Illustrator colors right here. They're the liquid Illustrator. I like to start with a light mauve to begin. And everybody's skin tone is different. Then I'm going to go to a natural one. And again, same thing. And then I'm just going to go to a natural 2. And then finish it off with just a little bit of rice paper, and then a little teak in here, Jason? Yeah. And I'm always adjusting the amount, the size of the speckles. Sometimes I want them bigger, sometimes I want it smaller. And the last coat I do is I'll do this color teak. It's a really dark color, but it'll give a nice bit of freckles and texture. And again, and this one I just do a couple little, there's always little freckles on the skin. That's pretty much it. Alright, so tattoo. Yeah, we can do that because I think we're running out of time. What time? 10 minutes? Okay, good. So we're on the last leg. So Jason's going to throw a tattoo on his neck. And these are tattoos that we make in the shop. They're just, you know, tattoo paper, tattoo printed on it, and adhesive put on it. And then I'm going to throw a little piece of facial hair on. Oh yeah, Got a scissor. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Let me do that. This is something we started doing, this facial hair. A little hair, maybe just a little. We got an alcohol sprayer here at all, Jason, or just that? Okay, which one of these is alcohol? This one? Okay. So I'm going to just put a little alcohol down here. And then to top it off, toast this here. And these were just store-bought studs that we put a little piece of lace on because it had to go on in minutes again for SNL. So we just put these little bits of lace onto these studs to give them the piercings. And that's pretty much it. What do you think? That's it? And that was, we did a little powder on here. So this we had to do on the show because there was a lot more of us doing it. He also had brow covers. He had these. He had gauges in his ears. We took pity on Brandon, so we didn't glue so much stuff to him. But yeah, and then we didn't do a beard on Luke last night. But that's pretty much the makeup we did last night. Fun little gauges on them. I mean, horns.
How far does the lace come out?
What?
How far does the lace come out on the librettes?
They come out about a little less than 1/4 of an inch.
Okay,
Just so that they stay. Because we started out with making them really small, but as he would talk, because he was talking a lot, it would start to fall off. So we made them a little bigger. and it's fine lace, so you really, it kind of hides, and they don't go, as long as they don't go really close on the shot, you're okay. It'll be fine. Anybody got any questions? Yeah, that's what was that about the beard?
It's a netted beard.
No, it's not netted. There's no lace involved on it. It's a pre-laid beard that just goes on with alcohol. It's a pre-hand laid beard. I got a sideburn here. Like they're pre-laid, and then what you do is spritz it with a little alcohol, and it reactivates the film, and it just sets. It's almost like the film that's on the tattoos that lets it slide, and it just reactivates and sets it on their face. So there's no lace, there's no. The hair is already styled and curled and permed. It's already ready to go, and it's hard to get off, but it looks better than a lace beard, and it also gives more mobility.
So you pre-made?
We make all those, yeah. We pre-make that in the shop. On a form, on a face form, we'll pre-make it, peel it off, powder it, and set it aside so when we need it, we have them ready to go.
And the adhesive you use?
There's no adhesive. It's just we spritz it with a little alcohol, and it reactivates the film. And
no, but I'm saying
on the skin.
The film.
What the piece is made out of?
Yeah.
That I can't let you know. Sorry.
When are you going to market that thing?
One of these days. But that's one of the things we've been planning. Sorry.
Hi. Have you ever done a bald cap and put a wig on top of it to save time for another sketch, or vice versa?
We do that a lot. Like last night, Kate was in a bald cap for Jeff Sessions. And then throughout the day, throughout the show, she has to be other characters, but then she'll need the bald cap again for another sketch. So they'll put wigs on in between, and we're sitting there hoping, that doesn't rip, they don't stick a pin in it. We have a lot of, worries of there's tape, there's something, and sometimes they've got to put tape on the wig, so we've got to, after they've done the sketches, we've got to go in and either put a blender over that to cover the tape, or try and peel that tape off. So you've got to kind of roll with the punches. It's a lot of, hoping that everything works out. Last night we had Keenan was in a bald cap for the top of the show, and then he had to be LeVar Ball later on in the show. There was no time to put the cap on, so we had to do it at the top. But in the show last night, he had this big ornate lobster head, and that big hard surfaced ornate lobster head put a huge rip in his bald cap just before we had to do him. He had to go on and be totally bald for LeVar Ball. So we had to take blenders and try and patch it all together, and it's sometimes you got to roll with the punches and try and hope that you can get something fixed. We have set emergency kits of blenders and patches and what we can do to try and fix it. Yeah, there's times when we're on the side of the stage and they're yelling for us, and we've got to patch it, and as they're going, we're just stepping away, and okay, it's what it is.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, not you.
Actually, what I was going to ask if you wanted to clarify the idea about using zinc oxide.
Okay.
The steps.
The zinc oxide, well, what it is you clean the skin with Kiehl's first, so that there's a nice surface, so that there's no oils. Then the zinc oxide, it's just a powder. It's a zinc oxide powder, and you don't use much of it. It's just a light dusting over the surface of the skin, only where you're going to put your glue, where you're going to put your adhesion. So if you put it over the rest of the skin, their skin will get ashy and it shows. But if you just do it where you're going to glue your cap or glue your prosthetic, when you put your Prosthetic or a Telsis or any other adhesive down, once the two make contact, that sucker stays like nobody does. I use it sometimes if I'm doing a tattoo, because the main adhesive is kind of like a Prosthetic adhesive. I'll dust the area where I'm going to put a tattoo really, really lightly with a little zinc oxide, and then put the tattoo on, and that tattoo will stay quite a lot longer than if you didn't do that. What the zinc oxide is also, it's also an antiperspirant. So it closes up those pores so the oils don't want to come through as easily. So you don't want to cover their whole face in zinc oxide, it's not good to do that. But a small area where you're going to glue is always good to do. I do it religiously almost.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Hi. Do you make your own bald caps?
No. We buy these bald caps. We make some. These are vinyl bald caps that we buy from Alcone here in New York. They manufacture them and we buy them from them. They're one-time use. You throw after it's done, you throw it in the garbage. But we also make silicone caps. Like I was saying earlier, we made one for Kevin Hart when he hosted the show. They're silicone. It's a big process and it's a lot more labor intensive. We go through these we go through on a set. Last night we went through about 8 of them on one show. So you throw them on, you take them off, and to make 8 silicone bald caps would be just too much. And paints. And we also, there's times where if they're getting a wig and they only have a receding hairline, instead of we used to put a full bald cap on, now we started manufacturing our own silicone bald paints that just cover, their silicone appliances that just cover the hairline, and then we have these elastic tensioners that hold the tension back on them, and they go on and we put them on 2-3 minutes during the show. We've used them on the host all the time, and it really saves our bacon so many times. Thank you guys for coming out, both of you. And I'll be posting stuff on my Instagram for all this stuff. You'll find stuff on there all the time. We throw on fun photos and videos, and I've actually got a couple of videos from last night's show that'll be up there next week. So, thank you for coming out. Yep, I'm probably gonna go by the museum.